maybe it's, oh, there we go. Is that it?
I'm refreshing to make sure.
Okay. Maybe it's, oh, there we go.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Good job.
Is that it?
Yes. I'm refreshing to make sure.
Maybe it's, oh, there we go.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Good job.
Is that it?
Yes.
I'm refreshing to make sure. Why is it?
Good job.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we go on TikTok? Let's get off Zoom for a minute. I'll call you on TikTok.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's see. can you just introduce the platform? Because there may be a lot of new people. Block any, like, go over the like community, the community space, so that people know, because now we're going live on YouTube and Instagram. So welcome YouTube and Instagram. I think it's really important for all the new people coming on. I know for our TikTok platform, you guys know most of the things that are happening. I'm going to go get some tea. Mira, if you don't mind updating everybody on what we do, who we are, and then that would be awesome. But first, let me say that we are really excited to be doing this finally. All right. If you could do that for me, I'd appreciate it. You're the best.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. For everyone that's hopping on, I just wanted to tell you about what we're doing here. So my name is Mira. I'm Tiffany's assistant. So on this platform, this is Community for International Arab. We have been doing this for like over a year now. We've been doing Wadih Wednesdays, City Sundays, lots of topics that people don't really talk about mental health and in our Arab culture. So we've been doing this for over a year. And over the time, we really wanted to expand and meet everybody and have the live go everywhere so that we can meet you guys and have like be able to answer your questions and talk to you on every platform. And finally, we were able to do that today. So Tiffany is a marriage and family therapist, and she is a very, very, very unique person. I think she's the only one that talks about mental health in a way that no one else does. And she really does address so many different topics. And we always say we are the light to be the light. So you will find Tiffany saying that a lot, because here we believe that when we work on our own healing and our own mental health, we already have light in ourselves, and we'll be able to reflect this light on other people. So we say that a lot, light to be the light. And for everyone that's joining, just to let you know, what doesn't apply, let it fly. This is another saying that Tiffany always says, because we're trying to keep this community a very healthy, healing, loving community. We don't want any hate. We don't want any negative energy around. So please don't mind me if I delete your comment or block you if you send anything that does not have to do with our topics. And today we're talking about Arab guilt. If you'd like to share in the comments if this is something you relate to, that would be very helpful, because I feel like a lot of us struggle with that. And I'm very excited for today's lives, because I'm sure Tiffany is going to give a lot of tips, and it's going to be healing. I'm sure about that, because I've been like with her through many lives. So yeah, if you'd like to let us know in the comments where are you from, and did you follow us from before, or did you just know about us now? And let us know if you struggle with Arab guilt as well. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll make sure that Tiffany sees them and answers them as much as she can. Oh, she's back. Hi.
Isn't she awesome? You're the best, Mira.
Thank you so much.
I always tell everybody, if it wasn't for this woman, this would not be happening. Wallahi. Okay. Okay. I don't know. People are saying I need a microphone. How's that?
Oh, that's actually so good.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Look at us, all technology. So thank you, everybody, for your patience. We really want to strive to ensure that we're providing, we listen to everybody's feedback as much as possible. And everyone was saying, I need a microphone. So here we are. So Mira, does it make a difference?
Yeah, it does.
Tell you. Thank you, Ahmad, for the suggestion. Appreciate you. Okay. So we have a few minutes left. I think Mira chatted with you guys about some of the Did you go over what doesn't apply, let it fly? That's really important. My content is not for everyone. You told people that? Okay. These are for people, this content, if you're, you probably said all that, so I don't need to repeat myself. That was such a Jalto move, wasn't it? You already did everything and Jalto's coming in. It's like, you know, when you cook and then Jalto comes and redoes it. Heck, you see, Shusarfe. Yeah. Okay.
I actually would like to add one thing because I'm seeing some comments in Arabic. Feel free to comment in Arabic. I'm here to help translate for Tiffany, and if she answers in English, I'm going to translate it back to you in Arabic. So, and we're trying to do the Arabic subtitles as much as we can on all the shorts. Soon we will try to have them on YouTube too, but for now on the shorts you will be able to understand if we speak correct Arabic.
All right. Where is everybody coming in from? I know when we're streaming on TikTok, we get so many people from all over the Arab world, which I absolutely love. So as I introduce myself and connecting with the energy of this live, connecting with each and every one of you, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being a part of our community. Actually, all of us together are going to work our best to heal and to move forward in our emotional health and wellness, because in order to see the change in our world, we need to be the change. And this platform truly is about compassion, kindness, acceptance, love, validating each and every one of our own experiences collectively. And we understand that there are going to be many nuances. We also understand that each person's experience is a drop in an ocean, right? And so that's where when people say, that's not my experience, it's really important to start to take a look within yourself on some of the judgment that we hold towards people for having experiences different than ours. So with that said, it's 8:00. Welcome everybody to Wadih Wednesday. I cannot believe we are finally streaming on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. This is so exciting. We've been wanting to do this for a long time. I need to make amends to the Instagram community members that have been with me since Tete's Wish back a few years ago. And we switched over to TikTok and I haven't done an Instagram live till now. So I apologize to each and every one of you if you were like wondering whatever happened to our lives. Well, yeah, they went over to TikTok. So I'm back. And I wanted to thank each and every one of you. My name is Tiffany Tota. I'm a marriage and family therapist, Palestinian American, coming to you live from Los Angeles, California. I am with my amazing assistant, Mira. And my sense is she had already introduced herself. She is the backbone for what I do here at Community for International Arab. And I want to express my gratitude. Arab guilt. Some of us feel guilty just for breathing. And this topic was near and dear to my heart this week on how to navigate it. How many of you walk around feeling guilty for anything? Is so much of your health and wellness surrounded by feeling guilty? Doing things for other people, perhaps people pleasing, your perfectionism. Well, we know that Arabi guilt is something deeply known for many of us in our Middle Eastern and Arab families. We know that it's tied to culture, religion, family honor, and generational patterns. We are here to shift those generational patterns. And we know that this Arabi guilt often shapes decisions in ways that blur the line between genuine love for our families and fear of shame or rejection. So I'm going to frame guilt throughout this life not as moral punishment. That's not what we do here, but as an energetic block. And what do I mean? Guilt isn't meant to be carried. It's only there to be noticed, to transform it, and to release it. Let me say that again. Guilt isn't meant to be carried. And so many of you carry the guilt, not just of your families, but many of us carry guilt all the way down our lineages to our ancestors. Now, Community for International Arab is about repair and return, not self-condemnation, which gets exacerbated by our families and people within our community. So remember, it is about how do we help repair, return, and restore. It is never about harming someone or harming yourself. All right. So we ready?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the roots of Arab guilt. Well, first, before I get started into that, I wanted to ask everyone in the comments, if you can, how many of you experience guilt? How many of you carry guilt? Number one. And you could put in a, a little hand, or how many of you carry guilt that's not even yours? And for those of you that say you don't carry guilt, that's great. Maybe you could share with us in the comments, how do you move through not carrying guilt? Because I can make a clinical joke as a therapist for over 20 years as a marriage and family therapist. I could tell you those that have no guilt at all, or those that are shameless, tend to be on the border of a personality disorder. But let's talk about that. Yes. All right. Looks like we've got people sharing. Yeah, I know I have felt guilty most of my life. I was unapologetic for most of it. It took me a long time to get to a place of understanding, where does my guilt come from? And so for many of you, it's asking yourself, where does this guilt come from? What is the root of my Arabi guilt? Now, we know we come from a collectivist culture, and the self is seen as part of a family unit, right? And so we're not fully separate. I always say many times we don't know where we start and where they begin. And so decisions aren't just yours. Many times if there's a decision, they reflect on the entire family. And that can be really scary. And that could be terrifying, that any decision you make has an impact on your family. And in some families, like your decision is impacting our entire lineage, right? And so that can carry a huge weight if any decision or how you move in the world is going to impact an entire generation. So, or we also have, Mira, I don't know if you have this, like if there's a decision that needs to be made by one family member, there's like 20 family members chiming in on what they should do. Do you guys have that? Right? Everybody's got an opinion. You've got Khalto, Amto, Ammo, Ammi, Bint Khali, Ibn Khali. It's like all these people have an opinion, and you're about to make a big decision for your life, and yet you've got noise, kullo noise, right? So being from a collectivist culture, it's important within the context of decision making and guilt that you recognize that there's going to be a lot, we call it the peanut gallery. There's like just an entire people behind you, which leads into the next root of Arab guilt is around honor and shame system. Now, this is one of the biggest ones I see clinically. Maintaining family reputation often outweighs individual needs. What will people say? What is it? شو الناس بيحكوا?
Yes, sure, that's it.
شو الناس بيحكوا? How many people have heard that throughout your life? And that becomes the guiding principle. Is what are the nas going to say? Now that is quite problematic when, and I have multiple videos on this moving of the goalpost, that the nas, depending on who the nas are, that you can have some really toxic, unhealthy people that are going to shame you into making a decision, and they're unwell. And then you wonder why your life is full of suffering. The next piece is religious and moral undertones. I have a video that we talk about the self-righteous, and many times guilt is sometimes tied to faith and obedience. This is a big one, and it doesn't matter your religion. I see this across anybody I work with within our communities, across all religions, reinforcing the belief that disappointing your elders equals to disappointing God. That's heavy. That's really heavy when we have religious beliefs or these moral undertones that how you move in the world now is going to have a significant impact on God. Which leads to this belief that we must sacrifice as a virtue. Now, I know particularly for our mothers' generations, our grandmothers' generations, sacrifice was seen as a virtue. The more she sacrificed, the more what is it? She gave the nas. What's that word? That, right? That self-denial, and this is so problematic, is often celebrated. So prioritizing your personal needs can feel selfish or even sinful. So we had modeling growing up of all these people. Now, it wasn't just women. We may have seen your fathers may have sacrificed themselves for the family. And this self-denial, look at what they do for everybody. Look at this. Yet the implication on your own family may have been pretty significant growing up, where the NASA's needs took precedent over the family's needs. And then what happens? If you ask for anything, or if the NAS come over and they're taking over your room, or your clothes that you love are being given to your cousins that visited, or if your mother's stress because of all the pressures that she was under, that she to cook and make sure the dot is in dief and worrying about شو هاي اللي عمته بتحكي in the Qur'an, and then here you are, a kid navigating all of this emotional intensity, and your needs weren't even considered. And yet the message was sacrifice. This, what they were doing, is virtue. So now here you are as an adult, and you're saying, gosh, I really want to go to that concert, or I want to study this, or I want to do something. Now this is a very normal thing, yet you see it as you yourself are being selfish, and in some cases sinful. Be really careful with that. So take a look at, how does the collective culture, what is the root of the guilt within you? Is it the collective culture? You don't want to make any decisions because of the reflection on the family. how much of it is honor and shame system, religious and moral undertones, and sacrifice as a virtue. So let's take a deep breath, because so much of this is heavy, and I'm only scratching the surface here in this live around the impact of this on our emotional health and wellness. This is so multi-layered, as you can see. Now, how does this Arab guilt shape decisions? Now, let's look at the major categories. And you guys chime in if I'm missing any, okay? Now, one of the biggest things we see is in marriage and relationships, right? So choosing partners based on family approval rather than compatibility. I don't know why I get so emotional when I talk about this in particular topic, because I have witnessed, and people have shared so many stories with me that they have loved somebody from another culture or another religion or another, they loved another human being, and they left that relationship, and they were very compatible with that partner. They left it, Ashan, what are the people going to say? They ultimately chose a partner based on their family's approval, and that marriage struggled, and that person significantly was emotionally impacted as a result of that. And then we wonder why so many Arab marriages fail. Now, there's lots of reasons for that. But when you're choosing a partner based on family approval, because you know if you married somebody outside or somebody that they didn't approve of, well, guess what? That may give you significant backlash. The other Arab guilt that shapes the decisions is another big one: career paths. Now we have that joke. Everybody knows that joke. What is it? Mahandas, Doctor, Mahami. Is that right? You know, right? Doctor, engineer, lawyer. These are selecting respectable or high status professions to honor the family, even at the cost of personal passion. Okay. I went down that road big time. And it took me, oh gosh, probably 20 years of this respectable career path in business, because that's what my family valued, right? And finally getting to 20 years ago doing what I actually wanted to do. So it took a long time. But career path. So now you're a doctor, or you're a lawyer, or you're an engineer, and you're a creative, or you're a musician, and this is something you never wanted to do. And yet you're in a job that you didn't want. And then you wonder why you have work burnout, or you wonder why your stress responses are so high. Boundaries with parents. Oh, this is a big one. Saying no feels like a betrayal. So many overextend themselves. Now, I know this is one of our values. This is what we're taught. I'm not suggesting we want to change that. That's one of the beautiful things in our culture, is taking care of one another and our families. Yet, sometimes we take it a little too far. Sometimes we take it to a point where saying no to anything feels like a betrayal. And you may overextend yourself financially, emotionally, or physically. And then you start to break down emotionally, physically, financially, giving, and doing, because anytime you say no, you feel profound sense of guilt that you're failing people. Usually is at the crux of that. And all I'm encouraging you to start to think about is, where did I want to say no and I said yes? all that stress gets stored in the body. And then you wonder why you snap if somebody moves a cup from here to here, because you were overriding your own body signals of saying, I really want to say no, but I'm just going to keep saying yes because that's what the culture demands on me, because I'd rather do that than avoid the uncomfortable feelings of being guilty, feeling guilty. We'll take a look at that. But where, and I say within our cultural context, sometimes, okay, maybe a hard no is not, I say, well, can we do a not yet? Or can we do all your things first and then do for them? Make sure you're taken care of and then you go into that situation. Because most, in my experience, professionally and personally, most people's nervous systems are so fried because they keep saying yes, 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 yes. And there's absolutely no boundary. The next piece is silencing of needs. Now, how many of you growing up, you shared a need with your family, and what did they say when you shared a need? Mama, Baba, I would like this. They would say, La, this is for the NAS. Or maybe you wanted something special. I don't know. It could have been a balloon when you were little and you're at the park, and maybe financially they couldn't afford it. Or maybe even more complicated, they could afford it and they just told you no. So for many of us growing up, we learned to silence our needs because there was more no's than there were yeses. So then you grow up and you start to say no to yourself, and you start to silence what your need is because the people around you minimized your feelings. They minimized anything that you needed. You may have said, I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling depressed. And what did they do? They said, ما في عنا anxiety, ما في عنا depression. لا, this is a West thing. ما في عنا هيك. انسى, اسكت, اسكتي, اقعدي. And then you wonder why you minimize your own struggles, because growing up, you were taught any need you had may have been a burden on the family. And many of us walk in life, we are probably one of the most hyper independent culture. And that's a wonderful thing. That's where most of our success comes from, is this hyper independence. Yet part of our growth is being able to ask for help and not silence the needs. And I dare say, have you even asked yourself what you needed? And can you give yourself that permission to even think about what you need? Now, the other piece to feeling guilty that I see a lot, and it's challenging to navigate, is geography and independence. So now, to all the young people, to the younger generation, I want to thank you, thank you, thank you for raising your voices, challenging these old systems and saying, we don't want this anymore. We want more independence. We want more autonomy. Now, I know the burden that carries. And I know breaking generational cycles carries a huge toll. And we don't talk about the loss enough. That when you decide you want to move away for your growth, your safety in some cases, and in your wellness, it could feel like abandonment. Again, we come from a collective culture, but for many of you, for many of us, that in order for you to just live or live a life free, to wear what you want or do what you want or have the lifestyle that you want or have the partner that you want, many times it's moving away. And you could feel profoundly guilty for that. And there is a lot of loss associated with that. All right, I'm going to keep going. the next one is, how does your inner guilt, so start to call your awareness to your own body and start to think about the inner conflict this out of guilt creates within you. Do you have a split self? So we had a whole video, on the double life. And that was resonated with so many people, because many of us within this cultural context have this split life, a battle between the good son and daughter and the authentic self. I think some of the comments were so funny and so witty and sad at the same time, that they're like, I live 5 double lives or 6 double lives, right? And so you may feel guilty for being the good son, good daughter, showing people a face, a mask. And then when you're outside, you may feel guilty because that's not even remotely who you are. The next piece to this inner conflict, and I hear this so much, is this constant self-questioning. So this platform, what we do here is about, I don't have the answers. I'm letting you guys know. I have no idea. I'm navigating this right along with you. And it's about awareness and connecting to your intuition and not your fear. And so with this how to be guilt, when it comes up, you're constantly self-questioning, self-doubting. Am I being selfish? Should I be doing this? Is this going to hurt somebody? How is this going to impact my family? I'm living a double life. And then the questions just keep coming and coming and coming. And then you wonder why you're exhausted. You wonder why you're overwhelmed, fatigued. You can't get up. You're anxious. You're overworking yourself. You're distracting yourself. For anybody struggling with drug or alcohol addictions or eating disorders or any of these things, it's this constant self-questioning that you want to self-medicate with food, drugs, sex, whatever, gambling, which then leads to, am I being selfish? And sometimes we cannot tolerate that. The next piece in this inner conflict is a big one. Again, remember, everyone, we come from a collective culture. Our roots, our ancestral DNA is embedded within the fiber of our being. Now, if we start to move out of this guilt, there may be this intense fear of rejection. And the terror, and I say terror, of being cut off or labeled ungrateful, to be labeled in a way of, look how much we sacrificed for you, and this is what you do for us. And some people, in choosing themselves and in moving through this guilt, they were rejected. So let's talk about that reality. You may be rejected by your family. And that's why I started this community, because and it's not going to replace family, but I wanted a place for people to come to be able to say, I don't need to be afraid of being rejected because you are always welcomed here. That in you choosing you and in you being able to live the life that you want and be in your authentic self, your family may completely reject you, hurt you in some cases, in other cases, harm you. Yet you always have a place here. So with that said, that internal fear of rejection and that terror of being cut off keeps us in this cycle over and over and over again. And I get it. I get it. And there's no shame in that. Which leads to emotional exhaustion. So those of you that are just feeling tired all the time, you have to remember, carrying the responsibility for everyone else's happiness is exhausting. You're thinking about your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousins, your friends, your community, your auntie, your this, your that. then let's extend it even further because, we're Arab and that's how we roll. Then not only do we care about all our family and our community's happiness, and then now let's add our coworkers, our neighbors. Again, that's the beauty of our culture, where this hospitality, this giving nature, this generosity, yet being everything to everyone is emotionally exhausting, especially when you feel guilty for giving to yourself. Do you guys see the cycle? Do you see how this goes? And then it's a wash, rinse, repeat. And then you ask yourself, oh my gosh, how do I get out of it? Because our cultural expectations and our familial and societal demands just keep coming. They keep, heck, a la folk rasna, heck. And then you wonder, where is this path towards healing? Well, let's take a deep breath and let's focus on what is your path to healing. So I'm just going to offer some things. Number one, we need to redefine respect. Okay. A boy is special, and I'll talk about him in a later live. It was always about any comment or any questioning. Disrespect, you're disrespecting me because I wasn't being obedient. Any ounce of going outside of what they wanted was seen as disrespectful. So we need to really redefine within our culture. And if you're a parent and you have children, I'm asking you gently and lovingly, can you please redefine respect doesn't mean full obedience. Respect doesn't mean full obedience. If your children challenge you and they may say something in how you're acting or in what you're doing, and instead of making them feel guilty for calling you out on yelling or hurting somebody or throwing things or whatever emotional dysregulation you're going through, instead of shaming them to carry that, can it be that they may be respecting you by saying, I want you to be better. I need you to be better. And it can mean showing love while choosing differently. And I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent, but I could tell you I welcome when Binti challenges me. Do I like it? No. Is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. But I know my path to my own healing begins that her respect of me is also challenging me to be better and to do better. And you may have a partner that if within the context of a partnership, obedience sounds a little extreme. However, if your partner is calling you out on something gently and loving you and is asking, and you're going to make them feel guilty, and you're going to do the same thing your parents did to you, to your partner, they may be showing you a sign of love. Now, we also need to redefine guilt versus responsibility. Now, what does that mean? You ask yourself, am I making this choice because I truly value it, or because I'm afraid of guilt and shame? Many of you, the guilt, if you're not doing anything wrong, many of you are not doing anything wrong. And some of you are, and we'll pin that, but just work with me here, that if you're choosing to love somebody, there's nothing wrong with that. Even if you, and I know this is going to trigger people, and my teta's in the back of my ear going, but I'm saying, even if you sleep with somebody, okay, and I'm saying this specifically to the Banat, Habibti, even as inti ateti your body to somebody and it was through love and you felt good and you felt comfortable and you felt in your feminine and you felt sexy, you don't have to feel guilty for that. You're not doing anything wrong. And if you value it, there's nothing wrong with that. Now they're going to say, I'm bringing out, all the comments are going to be, the West is coming to destroy our women. I don't care. I'm just saying it. Okay, I'm just saying it. So again, let me go back to the guilt versus responsibility. Are you making this choice because you're afraid of feeling shamed or feeling guilty as a result of the roots I discussed earlier in the live? So by self-reflecting and asking these choices, okay, you're asking yourself, you're creating an awareness. Am I choosing this? The next one is boundary building with compassion. Now, don't let me sit here on the opposite side of this screen looking all, grounded and connected, that I've got this down. No, I don't. I'm better. Now, boundary building with compassion means you frame boundaries in a culturally sensitive way using respectful language rather than confrontation. Now, I spent most of my life confronting. I was the battler. I was the fighter. And I say this a lot in my lives and on this platform, that what I can bring to the younger generation is that caused so much stress, so much illness, pneumonia, so many physical health issues because I was constantly battling. And I'm letting you guys know, I really want to minimize you hurting and harming yourself. So I know many of you, where are my fighters at? Where are the fighters? Let's connect. Let's bond. Fighters unite.
For a second,
Yeah.
because people on Instagram are asking if this is live because you're not engaging with the comments, but maybe they don't know that we are live on different platforms. So just let them know that you can see the comments.
Oh, hi, Instagram. I'm so sorry. Yes, I am live, and I'm so sorry I'm not engaging with the comments because we are on multiple platforms. I see you. I would love to address all the comments for sure. Mira is trying to help me. She's my assistant in the background. So just know that, yes, I will engage with the comments. I want to get through the material, and then we'll address healthy, loving, connected, grounded comments, and not the ones that are going to start divisiveness and mean comments. We don't do that. Did I answer the question, Mira?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. So where was I? Boundary building with compassion. So as you start to release yourself from the guilt, you want to say, what boundary do I need to set today? Excuse me. And it could be as simple as, I'm not going to answer the phone in the morning. I'm not going to answer my mom's phone call in the morning. Now, we know a lot of Arab moms, when you don't answer the phone right away, they call like 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And then you think somebody's dead. And then you pick up the phone and like, hi, Habibti, ish bidik for lunch. And you're like, I was in the middle of my workout, or I was in the middle of studying. I thought somebody died. Lish bitaslifini. Like, enough, right? That's what I love about text messaging, because you can set the boundary by, Mama, ana fi shughl. It always has to be something that they respect, not something you respect. This is the Arabi finesse I talk about. And for the parents that have young children, you don't want to be that parent where your kids have to lie to you over wanting to read a book or go to the gym or do something for yourself. Don't be that parent. Like, let them, but just be honest. Let your kids be as honest with you as possible. And let's not engage in this Arabi finesse. I'm really hoping new generations will stop that. But with the older generations, you want to frame boundaries in a way of respectful language, like, Mama, I really want to talk to you right now, or Baba, I really want to do this thing with you right now. However, I have this. I will see you, because a lot of them are very anxious people. So you want to give them a time. I'll see you at 2:00 at this time. And you follow through. The next thing is a huge one within our culture, because I don't think we do a lot of that, is self-compassion. Man, we are really good at beating ourselves up. We're so good at it, like probably some of the best. And oh, wait, hold on. I did see a comment, Mira, on TikTok. They don't respect this. I hear you. I get that a lot from the younger generation. When you try and hold a boundary, they don't respect the boundary. So then for you, you want to be able to say, if I'm speaking the language of love to people who only understand the language of war, well, then you need to have a harder boundary. All I'm saying is, before we go to the harder boundary, you want to be able to give your parents the opportunity, and if they're open and healthy and somewhat integrated, to give it a chance. Because what I do see with the younger generation is there's too much cutting off too quick, and you're not giving yourself an opportunity to increase your distress tolerance. But yeah, I hear you. If they're not going to respect the boundary, yeah, well, then do what you need to do. I'm not here to say yes or no. I'm saying, can we try and help and improve our communication with our families? But I get it. Believe me, I'm a fighter. So I'm letting you guys know there's no judgment here. The next one is, with that said, self-compassion. You want to recognize that guilt is cultural conditioning. It doesn't mean you're doing wrong. Again, remember, I said at the beginning of the live, sometimes our breathing, we feel guilty. Doing the dishes incorrectly, we feel guilty. Taking some shortcuts because you want to get something done, you may feel guilty. Have some self-compassion. Now, excuse me, you want to reframe your sacrifice, that sacrifice as a virtue. You want to reframe it as choosing yourself at times doesn't erase your love or loyalty. It sustains it. Because the more, I can tell you, the more over the years I've given to myself in small ways at the beginning, now in huge ways, I don't sacrifice myself for nothing or no one at this point, but I'm older and I've gone through a lot, and you may get there. And I can tell you the freedom that you feel from that is absolutely unbelievable. However, it takes consistent boundary setting, little by little over the years. And then you discover more about yourself. You set a boundary, then you learn more about yourself. And you begin to understand the roots of the guilt, which goes into recognizing where guilt shows up. Every time you set a boundary and you feel guilty, or every time you do something for yourself and you feel guilty, I want you to recognize that then it gives you a deeper meaning into, when I think of making a decision for myself, what is the first guilty thought that comes up? And that points you to where you want to heal. Okay? It points you to where you want to heal. A big one, excuse me. Whose voice do I hear in my head when I feel guilty? Is it my parents, my extended family, community, or my own? So you ask, whose voice is that? A lot of times when I'm making a decision, I say, well, not anymore, but in the past, it was, whose voice is that? Oh, when my teta was alive, Allah yarhamha, it was like, oh gosh, there's my teta, hey ha, in my ear, or my mother, or my father. Then you have, again, remember the peanut gallery? It could be that Mina Amto. I always talk about the Mina Amto. Sorry, Amtos. I'm an Amto. But, you know, that Amto in the corner, leering at you as a little kid, shaming you. So whose voice is it? Now, if you did do something wrong, and you feel guilty because there was something that you did that was perhaps harming somebody else or not right within your own value system, well, then at that point you say, oh gosh, I'm feeling guilty. There's ways you can overcome that by making amends, which I'll talk about a little later. Now, this is a key one for those of you that really want to get good at this, is what situations trigger guilt the most? So is it who you marry, career, money, independence? So when you take a look at those things, where does the trigger of my guilt, what situations? Now I can, for myself, and again, I just moved through another big guilt, is care for my family. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. That was huge. And that was the only trigger that I had, was I felt this obligation to constantly, and finally I moved through that. But take a look at what triggers that guilt. All right. All right, Mira, do you want to go over some comments? Because we only have 15 minutes left in the live, and then we can go over some scenarios and then the guilt voice, and then we'll talk about the impact, because I thought that might be kind of fun.
Of course. I don't think we have questions. We just have Hala saying, I love your videos. It explains so much of things I go through. She's on Instagram.
Thank you, Habibti. Thank you so much.
Then we have Hala also said, I feel like everything I do causes me guilt of family and society. We addressed that.
Yeah, you're not alone. Believe me.
You're not alone.
No.
Nirna said accountability is not existent. The only way to engage with our parents that are most likely narcissistic is to be as harsh.
In some cases, I agree. Yes. And that's very painful. Very painful. I need to emphasize that. That sense of loss is terrible. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and sharing. You guys want me to keep going, Mira?
I think, yeah, keep going.
Tell you. I thought it would be, let's see. I've got two ways we can go about this. Gosh, there's always so much information. Okay, let's kind of go over the Arab guilt framework. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a situation. The scenario. Again, I already used this earlier, but I want to show you the guilt voice. You want to marry someone outside of your culture, religion, or class. Okay. Now, the guilt voice says, if I choose them, I'm betraying my family. What will people say? My parents sacrificed everything. Yay! So when now it's not just, and when I'm doing the ultiming, that's how intense it is. So you remember your nervous system is going to go, oh my gosh, how can I disappoint them? That's so terrible, right? Now the impact is staying in relationships that may look right, but don't feel right. Okay? They look right, but they don't feel right. Now, if you're in a marriage that doesn't feel right, or you're choosing the guy or the gal that looks good on paper, and the family, they say, oh, Mahannas, hey, she does this, that, doctora, whatever, and it looks good on paper, and in your gut, you're going, this just does not feel right, but I don't want to disappoint my family. And you marry that person, that may lead you to a life of abuse, a life of pain, and you have nowhere to talk about it. Well, here you can. So remember, what's the scenario? What's your guilty voice saying? And then recognize what's the possible impact if I go through with this. Okay. Career and education. This is a big one. Where are all my artists? You want to pursue art. Where are all my therapists? What did I get? Inti majnuna, inti بتشتغلي مع المجانين. ليش inti, you want to do psychology? شو هذا psychology? Blah, 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 right? Or a passion field, whatever that is for you. It could be gardening. It could be, I don't know, it could be auto mechanics. And instead of the field of medicine, law, or engineering. Now, the guilty voice would be, and this is, they work so hard so I could have a respected career. Who am I to throw that away? And if I follow my dream, they'll see me as ungrateful. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I hear a lot of Arab parents. هن بتحملوا 100,000 جميلة على أولادهم for everything they do for them. Did I say that right, Mira?
You did.
Okay. That, again, this I feel guilty for breathing. Look what I did for you. Look how hard I worked. Look at Shusawena Ilko. And so, and it's this constant ruminating. Oh my God, look what my parents did. I have to do what they want me to do so I could show my gratitude. Well, the impact is you may be living with resentment in a career that doesn't align with your true calling. Now, living with resentment has significant emotional health and physical health issues. And so you can stay resentful and it's not going to get any better. That resentment just keeps building. And let me tell you, this is where it gets complicated with the Arab, and you're probably really good at what you do. You probably get accolades at work. You're probably number one in number one at your job. And yet this is something that's not even your true calling. Can you imagine if it was your true calling? That's what makes it complicated. Next one, financial support. Scenario. How many of you have gone through this? Wanting to save yourself or your future while your family asks for financial help. How many of you guys have that cousin? Always broke, never having money, always asking, and then you feel obligated. Oh, okay, let me give them masari. Okay, this one's tani marra, talet marra. Okay, now I'm getting resentful. And you want to give to yourself and you want to save for maybe your apartment or your car or I don't know, whatever. It could be anything you want. And yet any extra money you have, because you feel guilty, you're going to give it to your family because sacrifice is a virtue. Remember that. Yet what happens? The guilt voice says, oh gosh, they raised me. I owe them everything. If I say no, I'm selfish. What kind of son or daughter would I be? And so what happens? The impact is you're draining your resources and delaying your personal goals to avoid feeling ungrateful. Okay. Independence and moving away. So the scenario, you're considering moving out, studying abroad, or living on your own. So good for you, right? Love that for you. If your intuition is calling you, now we did a video on fear and intuition, and it's calling you to go somewhere or be somewhere or move out, not just to escape maybe family dynamics, but maybe your being, your soul is calling you to go do that. Well, that guilt voice is going to come in and it's going to say, if I leave, they'll think I abandoned them. My mother will be heartbroken. Everyone will say I'm disrespectful. Now, not only do they think you'll abandon them, they're going to make sure you know that you're abandoning them. So it's not just hick. They think they're going to let you know you're abandoning me. You're shameless. How could you do this to us? You're going to break your mother's heart. Look what you're doing to your mother. Ashanhita, she's ultiming in the corner and you're like freaking out. Your nervous system is freaking out. Okay. Sorry, we got to do that. So we're almost at the time, but the impact is staying physically close, even when it hinders your growth or moving away, but living in constant guilt. So you're with them, you're feeling guilty. You're away from them, you're feeling guilty. Which heart do you want to choose? Living your life and feeling guilty and finding your growth and your happiness, or staying in an environment where you're constantly going to feel guilty anyway, living in resentment, being with people you don't want to be with? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Which heart do you want to choose? Now, setting emotional boundaries is saying no to family drama, gossip, or intuitive questions. Right? You want to The guilty voice is they're just curious. It's how family shows love. If I don't answer, they'll think I'm hiding something or being rude. Well, what's the impact? How many of you overshare, people please, sacrifice your mental health to keep the peace? How many questions do you have to answer over and over? Or the couple that's struggling to get pregnant, when ilulad. One of the most painful things that I've seen is when a couple wants to have a baby and then you've got 50 aunties at the party. How come you don't have a baby? When they have no idea the struggle that you may be going through, you and your husband, you and your partner. And then you're still answering this question instead of saying, Auntie, I don't want to discuss this with you. That's the fighters, right? Or the avoidance. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but you guys get where I'm going. Okay, I've got two more. Your personal identity and lifestyle. Okay, choosing how to dress, practicing your faith, parenting your children, or live differently other than tradition. This goes to my LGBT community. I see you. I hear you, right? You want to choose your partner, who you want to be with. That guilt voice is saying, if I do this, I'll bring shame. They'll think I've forgotten where I come from. If there's religious beliefs, I'm going against God, right? And this is the impact is you're going to be living a double life, one self at home and another in private. This is probably one of the most challenging ones that I've seen. And again, asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? The next one is mental health and therapy. Seeking therapy, the scenario. Maybe your panic attacks are getting too much for you to manage on your own. Perhaps you have a trauma history that you didn't talk to anybody about. And you're starting to feel it in your body. It's starting to affect your daily life. Depression. And you want to seek therapy or speak openly about family dysfunction. Yee, open, benekish hick. And you remember that the guilt voice is saying, talking about this means I'm dishonoring my parents and I should be stronger. How many of you have heard you should just be stronger? You're weak. You're weak? What? I want you to really think about that. Look at let's just take a minute. I'm going to digress for a second. Look at our world right now. Take a look at from COVID. Okay, even for some of you before, like just take a look at our world. It's a wonder anybody is functioning. Okay. And then you have these family systems. You've got situations that happen in your life. You want to speak about what's happening in your family because you think you're going crazy, because you're seeing dynamics that everybody's denying. It's affecting your body. It's affecting how you live, the quality of your life. And yet you have this guilt voice that's telling you, you're going to dishonor us. You need to be stronger. And the impact is you continue to suppress your pain, you carrying generational trauma silently. And you're just going to pass that on from generation to generation. So if you want to go to therapy or if you want to go get help, we have the Arab Therapy Directory. Feel free to take a look at it. We love to collaborate with other therapists so we can provide culturally responsive therapy to our community. And I'm telling you guys, there's not a lot of us out there for the need. But if you want to get the help that you need, move through that guilt, let go of family and collective expectations. And if it whispers within you, if you choose yourself, you'll hurt them. I want you to remember, if you choose yourself, it's hurting you. And in turn, you'll be hurting them. All right. I may have to do a part 2 on further ways, but that's what I have for you guys today. I hope it was helpful. And remember that create awareness around your guilt. And I hope this was helpful. I wish you all the very best. Remember, Nawar Titnawar. That's our tagline here at Community for International Arab, that the light in me sees the light in you. And in turn, you can shine that your light to somebody else, and we can create the change that we want to see. We can heal. We can heal not only for ourselves, but for future generations, so that they may know that they're supported collectively. And we're going to honor their individuality. And we're going to support and uplift one another. I wish you all the very best, whatever you decide to do in your life. Know that you can always come here and let us know all the good stories of how you've navigated some of these things. And please let us know the celebrations, and we will celebrate you, because this is hard stuff. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good day wherever you are in the world. Take care. See you next Wednesday on Wadih Wednesday.
Goodbye.
Bye, Mira.